Right, guys, we're going to finish off. We've got your comments. We're going to make this speed. We're going to go bang, strong opinion, straight in. We're not going to drag this one out. So it's comments off the fans, guys. Whoever's asking the question, the other three can give their opinions. Let's make them strong.
All right.
There is one debate we do want to get, which is about the friendlies getting cancelled, but you've got the question, I think, Jimmy, or Bitch has. But anyway, crack on.
Yeah. I mean, I've asked one already. We've touched on friendlies. This is Tony Pennington with big news. Amy Hardcastle joining Leeds, who's regarded as one of the strongest players in the ladies' games. Are any of the ladies on your books? Quick answer is
no,
not yet. But something we're having a look at. Leeds and York paying players will impact the game as they can now sign the best players. Also, the NRL could move into offer some of the ladies and move there. Interesting times ahead.
Fantastic, brilliant game. Some quality games last year. The Leeds Saints battle. I absolutely love watching it. We did organise to meet a leading England player a couple of years ago, but that never thing. I think there's a back rower at York at the moment who is going the NRL. Who the took. I don't know her name, but I think Sam Smeaton's wife's a thingy. But she's the big star. She's on about going on a 2 or 3 year deal to Australia. So it's fantastic, isn't it? It's good. We need to watch more.
You're missing the point.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is about Leeds and York cleaning up like Wigan did back in the day when they went professional. He's asking, is it a bit...
No, it's ridiculous now.
You don't think it's a concern about two teams? That's his point.
Saints have been in those finals, haven't they? And at England, they had... And the girl you've mentioned, probably been 5 years, it said, I think she's about 20... She's an older player.
Yeah, I think what it's getting at is... I suppose he's saying it
is there any investment going in?
Yeah, can we get the women's game up there quicker so that we don't start losing top talent before we've even got going? Are women going to start getting?
I'm sure we will. I don't know if historically they're paying more. They probably are paying more in NRL.
I don't mind if York and Leeds are spending money and they attract the best ones. That's the way it should be. If they're willing to spend money on their team, they should get the best players.
Yeah, I think he's saying.
Now I get it.
Leeds Rhinos ladies 6-4 to win the Challenge Cup. So everyone's saying it's pretty much a one-horse race now. So it's how soon can the other teams jump on the bandwagon?
Well, historically, it'll be the same as the men's. The ones who throw money at the academies will be the ones who don't throw the money at the academies, won't throw it at the women's game. The ones who do throw money, so you say, I'd say Warrington will get stronger. Yeah. The ones who do put financial bits into there, no offence to certain others, they'll go. I think Cass had a great lady sign a couple of years ago. Whether they put the investment, whether they put the investment in there to do that, it'll parallel the academies. Yeah. I would say.
But you can't say that because York don't have an academy.
Well, they can't. They're not in Super League.
Well, Bradford, London.
Yeah, Bradford got permission to do it because of the history of what they've done. London, they're trying to keep London players in. York wasn't granted I don't think a full scholarship. But
you look at your point stands, but the clubs who invest, Sheffield and others having the PDRL
champions last year, Sheffield
team.
Bish, you'll notice that.
Right, you're on, Joe.
Has Craig ever done a deal for one of his players to sign for a club only for the player to have a change of heart after the contract has signed?
After the contract signed, yes.
I think you try put a stamp on that though, don't you? Try say, don't let me do that.
Yeah, but it's probably happened.
Yeah,
of course. They panicked and usually family reasons or... well, the guy you mentioned earlier, and it's weird, we didn't sign him at Doncaster, but Thackeray.
Anthony.
Yeah, we had an agent ring us. He doesn't do it anymore, and he rang us up and said there's a lad from Hull called Thackeray. He had a brother called Ashley who were a fullback. Right. So Anthony and Ashley. Anthony wasn't getting a regular game at Hull, and we said, we've got the money to take you. And I don't think he believed us. So we said, yeah. Anyway, Carl Allgates, I'm going to meet David Howes, the agent, and Thackeray. And it's a deal. So I've signed it off for Carl, said, there you go and get him, deal's done. When he got to Cass, he must have got a phone call half an hour. He either got it signed or something happened. And it might have been, you better turn around, he's just been offered to go to, now you'll have to ask Thackeray where this is. Yeah. It was like a Castleford. Right. He got offered to go Cass. Right. And I didn't know whether Carl come in and had the contract. And he was like, what would we do, bro? We can hold him, whatever. And you didn't, you'll always do the right thing for the player. We tend to do a lot of homework on whether the player really wants to go. If he hasn't done his own work himself, that can shock a player. The worst one you get is a quick one, is when a player, say, Bish signs and he's signed in a certain position and the coach has sold you that as that you've got 3 shirt, and all of a sudden he announces 3 signings, and you know you've been had. And believe me, this happens fucking regularly.
A lot.
And what about when the chairman tells you you're playing one position and the coach tells you you're playing another?
Exactly. But I know if I'm thinking of history, famous ones would be definitely when they've signed them and they've gone. The kid sat there and he's going, I can't believe I've got 9 shirt, and they go, oh, by the way, big announcement. Yeah. International hooker on the way. Yeah. And he's gone, I've dropped the biggest clanger of my life. And they know it, the circles of players.
And I think there's another one with I think you get it also a lot with the travel, don't you? The travel when they think they can do the driving pretty easy, and then they get about 4 weeks into it and they go, no.
Well, Minzy and Sam Alice at Newcastle, I was asked by Newcastle to bring a different type of player in, what they'd not historically had, but it foreseed Mitch Clark. Minzy was the missing link. Said to, I said, he'll score you 25 tries. He's the best crack you've ever had around during your life. And Sam Alice will fight you in a phone box. Brilliant, all signed up. Minzy, 2 weeks later, did a Newcastle rap. And with the Geordie boys, and they're ringing me and they're going, he's the king. I can't believe it. And then I knew it were coming. I knew it, I called it. We drove on from Newcastle, me, Sam and Thomas. And the crack we had in car was electric, and it were all, we are the Geordie boys. It were all for it. And I've not done it for years. This might sound a bit crude. Please don't judge me. But in days, it's some things you miss being around lads in changing rooms. Because you get older, you don't do it. But Thomas farted, right? And I've never smelled anything like it. And when you're driving and you go, and I've absolutely give it that. And Minzy's face lit up. I heard Sam go, you dirty. And me and Sam are choking for, I swear to you, it was 10 minutes. We pulled over, and just as Minzy opened door, we've got rid of it. He went, hey, Big C, bang, and he just hit his second one. On the note, ask him. He hit the second, and with that, he put the window up. And he goes, Big C, we're going to get E to come on. He goes, Big C, we're going to really earn this one. And I'm like, but I came home and I said to Manny, I can't stop laughing. I said, that to me, how weird it is that you miss stupid things. That to me was crime. Long story short, Minzy 3 weeks later, he said, not for me, that Big C. He said, travelling's killing me, son. And I can't stay away from home. And I said, Tom, they've just put you on shirts and you've done shit, And he goes, well, that's it. Sam, 5 weeks later, said, just not for me. So Joe.
It's for the same with the Hull lads in it. It's so hard for Hull lads. Anywhere from Hull is a trek, and it can be a big shock for them.
Oh, definitely. I bet there's more players from Hull than that.
I joke. I said, well, isn't West Hull's team best team in Northern Division? It's best.
Always up there, yeah.
Because it's full of players who could be easily in the game, but they don't want to travel.
Bish, you're on.
Mr. Funny Shoes.
Oh, I like that.
Oh, God, who's that? I think that's our Joe's mate in America.
A few episodes ago, comments were made about how the 2023 season would be a follow season. Given transfers and build-up, what's your current view on it?
In what aspect? On the field or off?
They've gone on to say, are you still concerned that IMG's involvement appears on a low?
Well, I've had some good news, and I've been told off by a CEO for being negative around IMG, so I'm going to pump what he said to me. He said, get ready, big things are happening. The ideas you've had about previewing games and making it exciting, I'm not saying people fighting in press conferences, but certainly livened it up. You watched it this week with boxing. Whether you think that were horrendous to sell that show, it sold out. They had to go at it to get the extra sales.
Smith, yeah.
Yeah, of course they.
It was struggling at first.
Struggling, and they went boom, 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 and all of a sudden they got enough marketing behind it. I've heard that they're going to get coaches, they're going to get CEO, chairman, and a player to preview games and give it a little bit. I'm hoping that they put a bit of spice in, so we liven it up. We want it, Bish. The game needs it. We're all ready for it.
Yeah.
I've heard Channel 4 are pushing. Now, whether that's through IMG, I don't know. Channel 4 are pushing to take Sky on. They're wanting more games. They're wanting... I don't know if they pay for anything at the moment.
So we want them to pay, don't we? If they do.
Yeah, but it's exciting that they are, and maybe their content becomes that good that we go, wow. So let's hope IMG are behind that. But I've heard massive things. That my Irish friend, Roger, who won't tell you all, texted me yesterday, said, when the season starts, son, we've not heard a thing. That's in Ireland. That's sad. He goes, we've seen nothing. That's sad. it's sad. It's like
there've been a lot of tweets the last couple of days just going on from that saying, again, it's another negative dig, but there's not been any. There's hardly been any promotion. No one knows when it's actually starting. There's not been anything saying Super League's back. February, boom. We're
going to preview a game next week. The first game. We're going to do it on the show. We'll give them the best preview.
But I'm saying,
to be fair to Cruz Lehman, appearing on the boxing,
find his way in.
That was the probably the best publicity it's had so far, because that would have hit more eyes, even flicking up the Leeds Warrington fixture. With him doing a little chat.
Do you think the cricket lad got him on? Do you think the cricket lad got him on because he's the Leeds fan?
Who was that? Johnny Bairstow?
Johnny were on, and then it flicked to Cruz.
Oh, was he? I'm sure.
Yeah, Johnny were on first.
Yeah,
I reckon Johnny McGailey and them, he looks after him with tickets. He's probably said, listen. So it is great, but hopefully rugby league players get Cruz said, no, I got invited myself. Johnny didn't take me, and he didn't say to Sky.
No. Cruz Lehman has thanked Sky Sports.
Brilliant.
So he's probably asked Sky, because he's done a bit for Sky. They've teed him up with it. But like I said, that probably has had more eyes on it than anything else put together so far. And it just shows how one thing, like you say, with I'm not a boxing fan at all, but that the interest generated from that press conference made me interested in that one fight a bit. You know, and sometimes you only. I didn't watch it.
I don't want to say.
I don't need to pay for it.
It took they need only fans or something for you to pay for it, will they?
So again,
sorry.
Anyway, you only, and my point is, you only need one or two golden bits to generate that publicity, which is, you know,
which
what
we've not had at all yet. No. There's not been not much social media, not much. It's been.
We're doing a big show in it later. I've got two Huddersfield lads coming, Matty English, Owen Trout. We're going to come and talk about how we can change the game players' perspective. One of the things, Bish, that we can change is that, because when YouTubers can fight and get more than the heavyweight championship, that's what's happening. If Jake Paul fights KSI, they said it's the biggest box office.
Indeed.
And it's bigger than Tyson, and it's the mentalist thing. And you've got your old school who sit there, well, I'm not bothered, I won't watch it. No, forget about that. It's going to break every record. This is not Oscar De La Hoya v Mayweather. These two can't fight. You know what I mean? They're all right. I'm not saying they can't, but they're not. I don't want to call them out, but you never know.
I would pay for that one.
Listen. What I'm saying is, they're not. I've been around boxing. There's no way these beat a top 15 in their weight. Not even top 30. They won't beat an ABA champion.
No, and everyone knows that, but it's just a circus around it.
Fantastic. I'm going to put it on you, because sometimes you can be negative about this.
I've got zero interest.
You pull faces like that. But do you think it works?
I think you can get a certain audience that way. And what my opinion is, rugby league need a new audience. It's not just for hardcore rugby league who've grown with the game. We need to try and get people from totally outside the game as one aspect.
That's what that is, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah. So yeah, I think we need to look at these things. I mean, it's not for me. I've got zero interest in these YouTubers. Zero interest in watching them two box. I'd rather.
Let's be honest. You pay for 2 tickets a year. You black rest. You don't pay car.
Well, if you keep paying me minimum wage,
I need that experience,
hey, let's not talk about that.
Oh, that's what it is. It's these things. They divide opinions, and that's what it's. It's opinions. Either you build someone up to be the villain, someone's a hero, and that's what's happening there. And it is something needs to happen for us, doesn't it?
So Bish, if you was a player, let me give you one and give us it straight, because I'd say, if I would describe you, I'd say you're quite innovative, but you're very quiet, you're very calm. Yeah. I've not ever seen you really lose your temper, maybe a couple of times with horses. Bradford last year. But what I'm saying is, Bish, I'm going to do a game. There's Ben Jones Bishop in his pom at Leeds, and we're playing against St Helens, and I'm saying, I want you and Tommy Makinson going head to head, and I want you to, as a player, I come to you as PR manager and say, Bish, we're going to go head to head. I want you to tell me that you're better than Tommy. That you think you're a better winger, and you're going to prove it on the day, and you think you can take his England shirt. And I said to Tommy, you come back at Bish. What do you do?
Back in there,
I
probably wouldn't. I'd be confident in my abilities and all that, but I wouldn't be throwing it out there like that.
You wouldn't be throwing it out.
But I think something like this would work perfectly for people that you talk about. Mikey Lewis Roberts.
So pick out the individuals who.
Mikey Lewis would absolutely eat that up.
Because there's a big thing in most other sports, apart from probably Premier League football, where I think it's just not that big of a following, it's on another level to most others, that there is a natural thing where the people go, oh, you've got to sell it. You've got to always sell it. It's a business first. UFC business first. Yeah. In the American sports, it's that first. And then famously, Nick Kyrgios said in the Wimbledon final that he made, I think last year, he said, "I've sold more. I've got more TV. I think he broke most of the TV records, and it's Nick Kyrgios. You know what I mean? You won't put him in your top 10 of at all, but because he's that loud mouth and
everyone
gives you
wants to watch him,
he says I've created more money for myself from sponsored this and all of them put together now.
So what's he going to do next? Everyone's great to see.
And again, with Jimmy's, I'm not having a go at you here, but your opinion would be, Nick Kyrgios, don't want to.
Yeah, it's funny.
It's not for you, is it?
Kyrgios is a really interesting one because obviously I've got tennis background. Sinead, Kyrgios has been a favourite player for 5 years. For me, does my head in, spoiled brat.
Because she likes him.
Thinks he's cool, thinks he's gangster. It's like, you're not, mate. But do I think he's been good to grow the younger audience and build a new audience? Same about I feel the same. It's like, you're not, mate. Wimbledon sells out every year before, 6 months before. So you're talking rubbish. But all the stuff he does.
Well, the media, the YouTubes, the likes.
What he's doing is just being a character. He's a pantomime villain. And it's an absolute fact that they create lots of attention. Yeah. And do I want to see that in Rugby League, what we've just discussed there? I want to see Mikey Lewis against Jake Connor like that. And it's all a bit of fun with a little bit of needle, perhaps. But that's what we need to get that. I'm definitely a more of a traditionalist at heart with a lot of things, but we need new fans. We can do more with existing fans and trying to drag your mate down to the game and get your kids coming to the game and work with the community and the amateurs. But we do need new fans, and that is undoubtedly one way of getting it.
Joe, next one. Oh, we went through these pretty quick. Well done.
I've got one here, Joe. I'll go with this one. So I think this is. I think this is a really good one. We've got into it bits and bobs over, but he's kind of putting us on the spot and trying to get it clear. What are your guys' thoughts on I'll give his name first. It's Chris Mallinson. I don't know if it's any relation.
Thank you for watching the show.
Don't know if it's any relation of Jack Mallinson, but what are your guys' thoughts on academy trained players being cap free? It puts the emphasis on youth development, strengthens our international game, means we can keep homegrown stars and spend cap money on quality overseas players. It also means rugby league players can earn proper money, giving them the platform to become genuine stars. For the game to appeal to the youth, it has to be aspirational. A rugby league player in a Vauxhall Corsa will always struggle to compete. It does say read more, so I think that's pretty much, I think it says compete, probably with someone driving a Ferrari. It kind of links in with what Briley was talking about the other week. Trying to make players
on the show, innit? It's exactly what we talked about.
Yeah, it is covering that. But the question in the nuts and bolts is, should academy trained players be cap free? And there probably have to be a rule that they've been in that academy for at least a 12-month period, so you don't get them just signing someone to play the last game of the season. But great question.
We challenged it. We challenged it. I think he's watched it because we challenged that for a week.
That's what he's asked. Yeah. I've got two issues with that though. With exactly how I can see two issues with that. So maybe we can think about how we fix these issues and then it sorts it straight out. One of the issues is currently they'd have to give everyone the right to an academy. Currently, they don't have a right to an academy, don't they, with certain rules. That will have to be completely scrapped. Everyone will have to have a chance to give it a go, whether it's good or bad. Second off, we've just said how we love our players going to League One champ and developing and then coming back, not the lone way, just moving to that club and then building the way back up the Gailey way, I'd say. Well, that completely eradicates them as ever getting the money. So I'd say...
So they say them being cap free.
Yeah, exactly.
So if a player leaves and then comes back to a club...
It won't be cap free.
But you could have it that if they'd come through that academy, they could still be cap free.
If they come to the club that
they've go back to then clubs will have deals with other clubs and then they're stuck.
But then they're stuck But then they're stuck only going back to that. If their money's only at that one club, then
yeah, definitely.
So I think that's the one issue is how you solve that. I call it the Luke Gale way, where you go back to Doncaster and move up. That means they'll never be able to earn somewhat the same as someone else who's just stayed at the club.
Yeah, but you'd like to think, to play devil's advocate, there'd be few and far between. But he's probably thinking of teams like Saints now, the situation where they're inevitably might have to lose one or two, and it will at least help with that. That's definitely could happen, but overall, it would help, wouldn't it?
Mitch?
It helps the big teams, obviously, because they've got the cash.
I think it helps the big teams.
How does it help, for instance, the bottom end of the table? So you're less spenders, they are. How does it help them? Because if they ain't got the money in the first place, it's irrelevant, isn't it?
That's your answer. It probably is irrelevant because a lot of clubs as well. See, let's say Wakey and late. Wakey would have no positivity, whatever, by saying that they can spend more because Murphy and Corey have. Let's say Murphy's now. It wouldn't help them one bit because they're playing off 1.6 anyway.
Would it make these clubs focus on their academies more because they know then that they can have this as
That's a great point.
Yeah,
that's a great point.
But I think the issue is some of the ones
you're going to go through without any cap,
and it could probably struggle for the ones in Deptford who are really close to like Leeds and Saints and Wigan. Because if you're like Hunslet, just for example, Hunslet, there's probably better ones, isn't there, that are closer, like Lee and Wigan. Like, if you're a young player, if you're the better young player, you'll probably go in Wigan every time, so then that makes it tougher on the Lee to develop the players if they're in that pathway, because they'll all go there, and then Lee won't have them players to develop, which I think happens like Leeds, and if Hunslet become a bigger team, then you're not going to pick Hunslet over Leeds, are you? Just because of the history. I think that's...
Listen, anything that produces young players is a positive tick. Anything that produces players that stay in our game because it isn't on the cap is tick. Yeah. You're probably challenging the other clubs to start producing more players to use that system in their favour and eventually run their business better to get on the cap. So they do spend full cap. So that's probably a bit of a challenge to others. But IMG can say, well, we're not bothered. Get out there and sell some more tickets. Get some more marketing. Stop. I get a real fear factor of chairmen and CEOs who want to do the right thing all the time. Ryan Brealey talks about it. Joe talks about it a lot. We kill ourselves doing the right thing in rugby league. Do the right thing. It's always been like that. Do the right thing. It's always been like that. It's absolute bullshit. It's just that the game has got to change from bottom to top. A chairman would rather say to a pride, hey, I'm really happy what you're doing in your life, Bish. Hey, Joe, I'm really good. Get out there and get some corporate done, get some marketing done, get some people to support. We should be judged on what we're doing, innovation-wise. Carl Fitzpatrick historically got murdered in our game for 3 years being different. Everybody who I talked to backfired on Fitzy, hadn't it? Why is that? They finished 6th. Was improved corporate. He's got Hoover. He's got Nike. He got Nike coming on. He wanted Nike to sponsor Warrington to the first time Nike
trying to get
our
into the game.
He's been inventive in everything he's done. Did he take it too far, firing bloody tanks into Satan challenge training ground? I don't know. I thought it was hilarious. He'd be paying for a tank and was shooting flags or whatever of Warrington. He tried everything. The little guy who missed the ball, fantastic. For me, we all remember it. But Fitzy got ridiculed. You wouldn't believe what the other CEOs and chairmen and directors were saying about Carl being different. And all the waiting for him to do is fall off the cliff.
Well, the one he got slaughtered for was that we nearly ventured into was the NFTs, only that's the one that they bring up. They don't bring up his success of getting loads of eyes on the little kid, the actual kid driving the car that got hundreds. I think that got
most views it seems.
100,000 million viewers watching this little kid driving.
I think that beat that one mixed like in Ralph Rimmel.
That's what I mean. But they don't quote these times where he's come up with a bit of genius. They quote the one where NFTs didn't do that well or this and that, and you know what I mean. That's the one.
That's just the mentality.
Yeah, it's negative, isn't it? Rather than bringing up the positives, it's always
100%. Hey,
that's not just rugby.
And they get away with murder. They get away with murder. Some of the chairmen and administrators in our game get away with being average as old and just saying the right things. I wouldn't dare come out of a box. Wouldn't dare. I hope I can say it. I had to explain to somebody the other day. So we were speaking to Paul a big shout to Paul Rowley and Bleach. You told me to mention it. They said we said a lot of things about going to Wigan now. They treat us. Well, Bleasy and we met at a service station. Tea was shit. Didn't buy anything. I can't give you raps, lads. You're tight as all. I had to pay for my own tea, me and Joe. We had 2 hours. It was. No, kidding.
No, it was really good. What the lads have said
what the lads have said is, and Paul said to me, which went hilarious, about how we think about rugby. He went, don't be telling me you're not bothered about money with a name like Show Me the Money. And I went, wow. I've been asked this 200 times. I did it as a piss take because I'm the opposite. I was financially secure in my life, not to come into rugby league and do it from because we've had how many talks we've had about it and what I've proved. But his perception of that, and I said, well, I probably, and also, I Googled agents and not one other agent you could Google because there wasn't there. So I went first when I went on Twitter. You know the score, I used to the deals, the postman delivers again. I've done more deals than the Las Vegas croupier. You know, I got absolutely slaughtered for it. But it did highlight that there is agents in our game and there is people who can talk out and try to be a bit different. Every deal we did, delivering them and boom. For me, it was all part of uplifting the game. But Paul saw it as simple as, why would you call it and Show Me the Money? And I'm like, did you watch the film? It's about, that in-depth of having that client and loving them.
Friendship.
Yeah, so I think we've all got to change. We've literally all got to change. And basically, there's only players have got to come on board. They've got to be. So how do we get the players to come on board with it?
It's hard, isn't it? It is, and I enjoyed that one that you did with Ryan and getting into it. And he's right, like you do something that's slightly not the norm, and you're hammered for it, aren't you? And
well, how many private texts did Cruz get? He's had a nightmare today. What's he doing on telly? Or whatever. How many people judge Cruz on that thing? Who does Cruz think he is? Because I'll be honest with you, I'm going to tell you some truth. Cruz 2 years ago didn't have a great game, but he did a lap round thing at Edinburgh, and he left his teammates last game of the season. He went and made it. He went round full thing. Did Cruz? And I can remember one of the lads going, Cruz, we've got team for thing, and he won't. I probably I was like, but actually, I'm going to take it all back. Because if Cruz dare do things that are different, as Ryan, shower bag, suit, immaculate hair, if he dare go round and do that, and that makes difference to all that crowd who love to see Cruz come round and high-five them and make that effort, and if he can go on boxing, Cruz, I salute you, son. I was a bit, the rugby league probably had me there. Yeah, all right. You know what I mean? That can't happen. I apologise. I want to back that. Because it's different. That's me.
First time for everything, lads. First time for everything. Bloody hell.
Apologise loads, don't I? Spend my life apologising for you.
Personally, looking back, so you're probably too worried about what people perceive of you and think of you. I think players who are happy to break the mould, they do that because they know what's. So, for instance, for me, I work at Wakefield. Like I said, Mason Caton Brown came. And
he was a bit different, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a bit different, and he got some stick, but he just rolled with it. He's not bothered. He knew what his purpose was, what his goals were, and he'd come in, he'd play, and he'd go play sevens, come back, play. And
does quite well on social media and that.
Yeah,
sponsorship
that sort of
side
opened my eyes. I'm like, now probably later end of my career, I'm not bothered what people think of me, to be honest. I am that. I've got my goals. My business goals, my rugby goals, family goals, and that's what I'm here. You've got to put your head above the parapet, and you're going to get shot down, but you've got to keep going. And sort of, I think one thing we've got probably, instead of it goes around the WhatsApps, you might get a bit of toffee for that, but we've got to support each other. We've got to the sort of motto that I'm sort of rolling with for myself is a high tide raises all boats. So,
boom! High tide raises all boats.
So the high tide.
Sam just have that as that.
I just think we've got to help each other out, and that's just probably that conversation you had with Ryan and put up. I had to think about that, and that's the way we've got to help one another. It might mean the guys at the older end of the spectrum. You've got to sacrifice a little bit for the younger lads. What the NRL boys are doing now, really, for those younger lads coming through. But it'll have knock-on effects, and that's the only way I think you're going to change the cycle.
What Bishop's done about the NRL have agreed for match fees to be set. So the older players who would have historically got a lot more match fees than a U19-year-old, they're saying it's £3,000. I mean, that's not bad Australian dollars a game, but it's right through the game. So they've all agreed, but the older players have actually took one for the humans there, and they've helped them, and it's a fantastic thing. If that happened in our game, you would definitely have an element of, I don't know about that, but I'd love it, even if it's 250, 500 quid a game, right through the board. So if a young man historically makes his debut, he don't get paid a penny, because it's not no match terms in his contract for 3 years. So he can do that, whereas you might have somebody in that room who's on £1,000 a game. So that is a real sacrifice and really unselfish. Back to the Players' Union, what Bish has been talking about doing for a couple of years. It's what we need, because these lads could go in and fight for that alongside the agents and alongside the clubs. But actually, the voice is the players, led by people like Bish, who are a bit different and who dare talk about it and push for that. It'd be fantastic. We've all got to change, haven't we?
Yeah.
Even the agents, I know it's our game, but even the agent, never heard of, never seen. Spending hours DMing players and spending hours just stood there and never dare put your head in anything. The tweets you're on about the fans, how many of them actually got names who'll slaughter you? I said this to a club, I said, you get one tweet and it's, they reckon there's a, I wish I could get the email, it's confidential, I got sent it. How many of that social media who are negative mean anything to your club? Nothing. They don't go to games, they spend the day slagging people off on there. You're not the only one who gets it. It's a relief for wife or husband, because they're sat there.
Makes them feel better.
But they usually haven't got names, so they're not going to be at clubs watching games anyway. You know, I've always said this, anybody on social media who's not got a game or accountable a name, you should never talk to. Because you're talking to somebody who dare put their own name up. Imagine that in any other life.
Well, and you shouldn't listen to them, really. I think you get...
But you're hiding
because
behind
rugby league are old school people that running it, and no offence, I'll chuck you in there, you're not massively old school, but because you're older, you're generally just an older person now. Sorry. But I think in general, because these older group of people don't understand, I think I'm actually nailing a point here. So I'll keep you with me. I'll keep you with me, but because they're older, I think a lot of them are that scared of social media because they don't quite understand it, they don't quite get it. So they think a few negative tweets by these people are gonna get them cancelled. They're that scared of the word cancelled and all that. You did, yeah, you famously did, but I went, no one, you're not going to get cancelled. You only get cancelled really if you do something actually bad most of the time. You know what I mean? If you do something genuinely really bad, that's when.
Well, no, you say something bad, yeah.
But yeah, I think they're that scared that then they rise to these people. That's more what I mean by don't listen. You know what I mean? Because they rise to these people who just do not matter an inch, and we're that scared of upsetting them that we're not willing to do the right thing and do a great job.
What would happen? What the players should do historically. What you're saying is like, say Bish does something different, Cruz does one thing, and some fans come on and say, shouldn't you be doing this? Then the players need to come on together and go, are you kidding me? Because they should. If a player from his own club's had a go at a fan from that club, they go under that far, because he's been tweeting them yesterday saying, I'm your mate, I'm your hero, and then they go, yeah, but they don't speak up for it. I bet if Cruz did get it, no one would speak up for each other. Outwardly, I can remember...
they do it in NFL loads, don't they? If someone tweets someone really bad, or someone in the news says something bad, what do all of them dive in at them? What are you saying? Miles off some.
Of course they should.
They all do it, and they all back this random.
We'd leave ours to float.
I don't know. I think there's less of it in ours, but when there has been a few times over the last year or two when a player's had something bad, other players do jump in and support. But I think it's having...
It's indifferent to me. I don't mean bad on illness. I mean, like...
I mean, if
like
you've had
abuse... Someone about that character is about being different.
Someone had one the other week, didn't they? A player had one the other week that got serious abuse after a game, and he said...
For what, though? I'm on about...
I can't remember specifically.
I'm sorry, you took it the wrong way. I'm on about a player being different and putting something out there, and then other players sticking up for him because he's driving a Ferrari.
People don't do it, but it comes down to like what Bish was saying. You need characters who are brave. Like Cruz is clearly brave. He is happy to be very good at self-promotion, which we need.
You need a big ego.
Of course you need an ego, otherwise you're not doing it genuinely. So you need, when we've got more characters like that, and instead of everyone is waiting to shoot people down. As soon as they see people do something, that's our society. And rugby league's no different to anything else. So
but way much worse, aren't they?
I don't know. I think it's the same. Twitter is 90% people having a go at people who are doing well. It's our society. It's how people feel. So we need more people to be brave and do what Cruz is doing and what Owen Trout might talk about later and things, and then players support him if they get it. But when you've got to Cruz's level, he's not bothered. Like Bish is saying, you get to a point where you just be like, I'm not really bothered. I'll take it with a pinch of salt because I've got a clear goal. D. Foggin Johnson is a great example of a lad who had an Instagram account when he was at Donny and when he first signed at Bradford. But he was NFL level in his Instagram account of this is what I want to be like. And he got slaughtered. But he's never veered off because he's been, to be fair to him, very ambitious and very clear with what goals he wants to do in rugby and off the field like that. And when someone takes a mick, he just ignores it and thinks, well, I'm not bothered because I'm doing this. Do you have
to be the ego? Do you have to be the player, Bish?
I think it definitely
helps. Yeah, of course it helps.
Definitely.
That's where I'm just thinking of lads there thinking.
Otherwise, you're just seen as
a fraud.
You're just an Instagram athlete then, aren't you, really?
Yeah, me and Bish had a conversation about, obviously never, but I've spoke about a few people on it that do that, and to be fair, what's the level there? That's probably a good debate.
D's a great
one
because D wouldn't be seen as being a top player, but like Jimmy said, he's had the guts to be thingied. People would judge D and get slaughtered, and people giving that. But actually, the kid's done brilliant. Because he is a fantastic player, he's got a fantastic attitude to life. Yeah, he's different. I can remember D at Warrington, he did his thigh in a car, took a photo of it, and he and he's talking about the gears in the car, but he's got his bicycle, get me in the leg. Yeah. And he got absolutely like, oh my God, they were like, I got about 8 players going, oh my God, he's cringe, And I was thinking, it's fantastic because whatever he's doing, and maybe it is what you said, sometimes there is a crossover with the Instagram. Cruz could get it, let's be honest. Cruz is high-level leads, but you wouldn't say Cruz was in the top 20, 30 players in our comp, in my opinion, of all positions. So we actually shouldn't regard it on class because your best players in the comp, historically at the moment, Man of Steel is Jai Field. Probably don't see a lot on
Brody Croft.
We don't see a lot of Brody on social media. Jai Fields, do you see a lot?
Personality, that's what I'm saying.
So Jai Fields, so then go through your top 10 players now. Morgan Knowles, never said a thing.
Because you don't.
I tell you who can play the game. Tommy can play.
Tommy Max got a Cruz a head and shoulders above everyone else.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think I don't think there's only one way of doing the social media as well. I think we're categorising that way as you've got to be brash.
Show off.
One of the best ones at the moment, and Bish might know this in a sense, sorry for mentioning so much NFL, we'll plug our show, The Punt, but we've got the thing at the moment is one of the most popular men in all of NFL is a man called Jason Kelsey. He started up a podcast with his brother Travis Kelsey, and it's called The New Heights. It's brilliant. But we
don't plug other podcasts on our show, Joe.
I'll give him a plug because it's a good one.
They might plug us.
Tag him, Sam gets good. But yeah, he's now the most popular man because I've sent a photo to Sam in the group chat. What he did was he'd do his pre-game, what we might speak about later, pre-game outfit. But he wears classic movie outfits, but like the daftest.
Don't bother it because we've got the show.
I'll keep it simple. But daftest thing ever, but it's gone viral more than. But he's just being unique to himself. He's not being a brush. He's not sat there in a 100,000 suit. He's just a funny guy, and he's showing the world that. But he has only started showing the world that really this year, and the year and a half people knew it, and he'd do some interviews and make people laugh. But they're now seeing. Because I think Travis is more the Flash type, isn't he? And he's dragged his brother out, who was probably the bigger character, and shown the world this brother that is just probably a legend of a guy. He's notorious all throughout Philadelphia. So we probably don't even need the brash. We just need these players, even the ones that are, to come out and just show the personality more.
You made me think of one there.
Or like you,
Thomas
like
Mins.
You to have a brother who's a character, or like you to have a dad.
Thomas Mins is for. He's the man. Now he was doing it. If there was his social media, for me the funniest by a mile. And if Thomas's time was now, and if he was that, his career was starting now, he would be perfect, because he would be brave enough and confident enough to put his head up and do a different style, not just I've managed to buy an Hermes.
The players love Thomas, don't they? The other players like Thomas.
Yeah, and he would be the one. And the best thing about that would be he'd have all of rugby league behind him, because that nice bit of comedy, and it would be a different approach to, rugby league players turning out dressed like a footballer. It is a really different thing, but there's different ways to do it.
I don't see it. Listen, that's great debate, and you look at it, and I said before, what do we know about Mikey Lewis? What does the common supporter, the average, probably nothing, hardly anything. What do we know about Lewis Dodds? Do we know what car he drives? Do we know where his fashion sense is? What concerts he goes to go? Nothing. Truey, one of the biggest characters you've ever seen. They reckon the true ball's on the level with the lads like you've never seen. Probably people couldn't even say where he's from. They wouldn't know anything about him. They wouldn't know anything about his hobbies. We're terrible at selling our.
But you have to be very brave to put yourself out in the firing line.
That's another thing. You've got to want to do that. Like a lot of boys, like they might not want to do that. They might want to do that for their inner circle. Like they might want to. I don't know what you've got Snapchat, you've got TikTok, you've got all sorts of these days, haven't you? But even their social media might be private, so it's only for friends and family. So
I get it.
You need that person to want to do it. But
Gailey did, in his own way. I thought Gailey in 17. I get asked about why do I talk about Danny so much. Danny's probably the best player I've seen. And I think Gailey in 17 held the comp together with his personality. I thought everyone I heard talked about, Braley actually said it to me regularly, because Gailey for that year and a half when he got that Man of Steel were just everywhere.
Well, he did the Conor McGregor celebration.
He was on the
commentary.
He did the Sky, did the praise profile.
Twitter.
And he acted, do you know what? Here's a big thing what Ryan said. He acted like a star. Gailey, for first time, I thought, like, he probably got a bit of Sam Tompkins if he admits it. He famously went to Marbella, what's it called? The old...
Ocean Beach.
And Gailey, because I tried to get tickets to meet him and there last year, and he looked up. Sam's got 5 beds booked, Well, it might be all the way around. Gailey said he had it booked and Sam couldn't get in. Might be that. Yeah. He went to England and he said that the Wigan lads have Range Rovers and the way they carried it. And he said, I've turned up in getting Zaid round corner of my car and thought, I'm going to do it next time. Gailey then bought that big Jeep and that. And I think Gailey tried and still just worked on his social media side, worked on his private media, everything that we're doing for the comp. And I thought that was a start of things to come. IMG have got to be the company to do this.
COVID, it dropped off, didn't it? It dropped off again with COVID.
Yeah, but they've got to be, haven't they? We've got the, you look at, somebody actually said, when I talked to Trout the other day, some, not model agents, but some media agents said, aren't rugby league lads good looking lads and smart lads? And I'm thinking, yeah, you put rugby league lads dressed up on a Saturday night out, they are as good, if not better, than anything you see. They can hold this anymore. I mean, there is the other element. There is, the ones who don't, but there's a lot of them. I've done it, you've got it club, you've looked over and you're thinking, I came once 15 years ago into the club with Leeds Rhino, Sam Burgess and all, and they took it apart. Sam walked in, everyone was like, oh, look at these lads. They just looked, everything were great.
They're still doing the Leeds clubs now. There'll be people odd in Love Island from odd there, but the ones who actually normally do the best that you watch are the rugby league lads. They normally tear it up better than anyone.
We're not honest about pulling Joe. That's sorry about that, everybody. Watch the show regularly. I don't know why Joe's coming to that. Obviously.
I think the key is doing it also. It's easy to do it when you're Man of Steel, the bee's knees, performing 10 out of 10. It's when you're on that dip, say you've had a bad year, it's still hammering it then, not hammering it, but still doing it then, because that's when the flat comes. That's when you need the broad shoulders and that ego to ride it.
I still say one of the biggest growing sports in the world, and you'll laugh at
this. This is America again.
No, this is not America. It's actually, I'll get slaughtered more for saying this. Chess. One of the biggest growing sports in the world. Now, let me finish.
It's the end of the show.
No. It's one of the biggest sports in the world, but you know why? Because when COVID hit, so obviously no one has a clue about chess. Well, they do now. It's massive. Chess videos get millions and millions of views, and I'm being dead serious. They get millions of views. But because when COVID hit, what did they all start doing? They all went on Twitch, YouTube, and started playing online and filming themselves. And actually, some of them are that quirky and that weird. It's actually entertaining to watch. I got into it myself during
I can see a lot of that
during COVID,
great to watch.
and Well, they now do. I can grab up a few YouTubers. They do millions. Our rugby league one does 10,000. So that shows, even though rugby league's 10 times, you'd say cool sport. Chess now is one of the biggest money-making sports in the world.
Well, there's a clip I watched one yesterday, which is it Magnuson?
Magnus Carlsen, yeah.
Magnus, he's drunk, and he turns up. He's got jeans on, and as he's talking, he's on thing. He's put this kid to bed in 30 seconds, lathered.
So it's brilliant. So he's doing a Twitch stream, and he's with some girls, with some guys drinking.
Yeah, he's on it.
The girl's playing, and then she's totally screwed it up, and he goes move across. She's like, in rugby terms, he's 30 down. It's 30-0 down. Honestly, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. 30-0 down. He goes, bang, 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 clean, wipes the floor all over, and he's out, and he strolls off like that, hammered, and it's best. But the thing is, because now they've allowed themselves to show themselves on platforms like Twitch and YouTube, they've now become megastars, because you think of a chess player, you think suit thing, look like this, anorak, can't speak. Then you see Magnus now on a Twitch stream, hammered, beating someone, going, ah! It's actually like, oh my God, I relate to him. I get pissed, I could do it, you know what I mean? Then you can...
Well, I don't know,
maybe a bit too much done last week, but yeah.
Right, that's about it. Just big thank you to the lads. I think we've covered a lot of points. Sam, you famously said last week my joke got 1.7k views. A lot of people thought it was funny. I know the lads did. I'm going to try another one because I've been to a Peter Kay concert, lads. I'll just try it. Are you ready? So a lady goes to the doctor and said, Doctor, every time I sneeze, I have an orgasm. And the doctor said, what have you been taking for it? And she says, pepper.
You clap.
Yeah, that tumbleweed.
Over to you, end the show. Thank you, everybody. See you soon.